Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while. I have been crazy busy. So much going on. So today I was like, okay, I have to do another video. All right, so in this video, I have to talk about like the struggles of living abroad, just my experience. I know that many people, when they think about living abroad, they think of all these good things, and a lot of it is good. It's true, a lot of it is good, but there are bad things too. Well, I don't want to say bad things, but cons. So there are pros and there are cons. If you have already traveled abroad before, then maybe you can connect with me. You probably have experienced some of these things. And if you've never lived abroad before, well, you'll probably learn a few things, okay? The benefit of my experience. So now, I love living abroad. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I think it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, but it wasn't easy. They say, well, experts say, that when you travel abroad, you go through phases. And I think that in my experience, I kind of went through these phases as well. For example, when you first travel to a new country, you have a combination of excitement, joy, but also fear and anxiety. So for me, it was a mixture of these. When I first arrived to Spain, I was terrified, okay? If you are traveling with someone, it would be a little bit easier, but I'm speaking for people that are traveling alone to another country. I was terrified because, I didn't know anything, and especially when you're going to a country that doesn't speak your language, that was probably the worst. So it was like I was on the plane and I was thinking, I think I made a mistake. I think I have to go back. I have to turn around, but it's too late. But once you are in your country, well, your new country, everything is like, you're like amazed. Everything is so different. Even the poorest, dirtiest places would be like amazing to you because it's so different. Like a different kind of dirty. I don't know. But then after that, you go through, the first few months, you're like in awe, everything's incredible. And then you go through a phase where you're in isolation. It's like, because you're not in your country, things are completely different from what you thought they would be. Even when you read about other countries, and see things on television, I'm telling you right now, it's not what you think. Forget about everything you saw on TV. It's just like the US, like living here, people tell me things. They've never been to the US, but they tell me things that they think is in the US based on television, and I'm like, no, that's not true. No, like for example, I've had people come up to me and was like, but all Americans are super rich, right? And I'm like, no, we have poor people, middle class. There are some wealthy people, but not everyone is rich. No. So, there's just lots of things. So forget everything you saw on TV. Forget what your friends told you that have never even traveled outside the US, because yeah, I have some of those too. They're like, oh, Spain is like this, it's like this, and they've never been, don't know anything, but they're experts. Ignore these people. Just ignore them. Talk to someone who's actually been in the country. So, so you start to feel isolated because you are away from people that either look like you, speak the same language, have the same culture, and then you start to feel lonely. And if you don't speak the language, this can make it more difficult. So in the beginning, this was extremely difficult for me. I was sad many times. Even though I did make friends, it was still like no one understood my humor, my expressions, because it's different with different cultures. And the same thing with them, you know, they had expressions and humor that I couldn't understand at first. It took time to learn these things, and during this time, it was a struggle. During this time, most people will start to find expat groups or people from their country. Now, this can be good and bad, okay? It's good because, yeah, this can take away loneliness. You can connect with people like you that are going through the exact same situation as you. And then they can even help connect you find different jobs or housing or, you know, things that you may need to survive. But the bad part about that is you are not integrating. So if you don't integrate, you will find yourself stuck with people that are from a country. You'll never integrate, you'll never speak the language. And this can be bad, especially if you are planning on becoming a citizen of that country. Like in Spain, you have to take a Spanish test. It's mandatory, unless you are from a country where the official language is Spanish. But if you are American, no, you have to take the test. So, and then they test your knowledge also on how much you know about Spain, because they want to make sure that you integrate. So it's important to also integrate. So for me, I integrated. I didn't have any American friends. I may have met an American or two in passing, but we never like clicked or became, you know, friends or kept in contact. But if you need that balance, or if you need that connection, just make sure you have a balance. Make sure you have Spanish friends, and make sure you also have friends from your culture. So after I went through this stage, you go through a phase where it's acceptance. You completely have adapted to your new environment, your new culture, your new life, and you accept it. Because the problem is, well, especially for me, is that, you know, I'm from the US. I spent my entire life in the US, and you know, I've traveled before, but I've never like lived in another country until now. So trying to accept my new life there were like subconsciously I was fighting it. Like for example, things that happen in the US on the news, right? I'm like, oh my God, like that's gonna affect me. That's going to like, and I'm thinking, wait, no, it's not. I don't live there anymore. I need to focus on what's going on here, because what's going on here is going to affect me, especially with like immigration issues. So it takes time to like reprogram your mind to get out of that mindset and just start accepting that you are in this country, you are part of this country. Like that's it. Like whatever's going on in your other country, like if you're worried or want to know because you know you may have family or friends there, that's different. But you personally, it's not really going to do anything. So because they have their own government, this country has their own government, and you're living in another country where their laws are going to apply to you. So, you know, for example, I'm from California. You know, marijuana is legal, and it's like you come here and then the laws are completely different. So don't take that mindset, that American mindset with you when you travel, and otherwise you'll have problems, legal problems, social problems, everything. So yeah, and then the acceptance part shows that you have been integrated. And then, like in my last video, I talked about re-culture shock. So because you haven't integrated and living in said country for so long, when you go back to your original country, whether to live or to visit, it's like going through the entire process all over again, because everything's gonna seem foreign to you. Now, this will only happen if you choose to integrate in the other country like I did. If you just stay in your American or English bubble or whatever, then it won't be that big of a difference when you go back home, because you've never really integrated anyway. Which to me, my personal opinion, is a big waste, because I think if I was to come here in Spain and just do everything American, I would just stay in the US. Like, I wouldn't see a point even coming here. So I came here because I wanted something different. I wanted to explore, you know, my grandmother's country because I have Spanish blood. So I wanted to explore her country. I wanted to make new friends, learn Spanish, just do something different and try different foods. You know, it's like, I hate when I travel with people, my American friends, and we go to this exotic country and they want to eat McDonald's. Like, it just irks me. I'm like, no, like, let's try the local food. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, so these are my struggles, my personal struggles. Especially when I came to Fuerteventura, it was even more of a struggle because I'm on an isolated island with not a big population, and there were some times where I cried and I called my mother and I was just like, Mom, I don't know if I can do this, you know, and she's just like, no, you can call me, talk to me whenever you want. I don't want you to be sad. But that lasted for a few months, and then after, I was okay. So if you are looking to travel abroad, just be aware that it's not all fluffy and happy. There are pros and cons, but in my experience, the pros far outweigh the cons. So just something to be aware of, and just know that you are not alone if you experience these types of things. Like, tons of people experience it, but it's not permanent, okay? So just remember that. All right, so that's it for this video. If you have any comments, or if you're also an expat or immigrant living in another country, I would love to hear about your experience. All right, with that being said, have a good day, and I will see you in my next video. Hasta luego. Ciao.